I invite you to this presentation drawn from experience as a panelist for so many interviews. Hi, I'm Ajoy Basu. I regard the pre-interview stage as an important phase of the entire interviewing and evaluation process. If you go wrong here, the rest of the interview would be of a ship navigating rudderless. After I'm invited to be on the panel in an assignment, I interact with the management to understand the culture that pervades the organization. Is the culture really professional, or is it more like an unstructured setup where positions and roles are too broadly defined and processes are not streamlined? I'm particular about this as I recognize the distinct responsibility of ensuring that for both the organization and the candidate, the fit is mutual. In the early stages of my interviewing experience, I would pick the best candidate based largely on the competencies and how the candidate fares on that scale of evaluation. I would not pay particular attention to whether the candidate would fit into the culture of his or her new employer. So, if the candidate can face a culture shock, particularly if it involves moving from a professional ecosystem to a much lesser one, which is less structured and lacks a systemic setup, the probability is very high that he or she may exit and you're back to square one, trying to scout for a new candidate. It is awkward at times to articulate to the panel and the management that despite the candidate being very competent, he is not the best fit, and that my advice is not to choose him or her. Almost a paradox, really. It takes a long time and a lot of effort, my friends, to usher in that professional culture in any organization. Almost a process of mutation. I come now to the next slide. I then, after what we have covered in slide 1, I request the management to convene a meeting of the interview panelists and other officials. The composition of the attendees at the meeting would depend on how senior the position is and how critical is the role in the organization. In that meeting, I play the role of a meeting jockey, where I put up a spreadsheet on the big screen and start plotting the competencies which matter in the evaluation. You will now see on the screen what I'm trying to bring to you is a glimpse of the template I use during the brainstorming to determine the competency matrix. So you can see the introductory part is something about the interviews, the client which is there, who are on the panel, of course, which I've kept them blank. That is, we call it the evaluation sheet, name of the candidate, etc. Once we get into the matrix proper, you can see we have the serial number, we have the weights, we have the competencies, very important. The weights are very important. We'll come to that in a moment. The name of the candidate here, we put it as A, and remarks. Remarks is populated a lot as we conduct the interview, and the correlation between each competency and what we have found during the process of interviewing the candidate is presented here. So we have a host of qualifications. Here you can see it is for the accounts, finance and compliance head. So a host of parameters. Not get into details of them, but relating to multi-currency accounting, culture, consolidation, the GST expertise, forex management and forwards booking, knowledge of SEZ, the FEMA related matters, CMA data for borrowings, prowess at the spreadsheet, and so on. What's equally important is that we have ascribed weights to it. If the position is very critical and it is 10, the highest criticality, and the other parameters, if we feel, for instance, IFRS is only for a limited purpose of consolidation, we'll only give it a weightage of 5 and not 10. GST very important because it's a day-to-day, a month-to-month compliance, so we give a weightage of 8 and so on. I go with pre-listed competencies which I could presume based on my experience and my understanding of the client, but these undergo a change. New ones, new parameters get introduced, some of them are removed, the weights get changed. This requires, my friends, brainstorming, and it's only after the end of the brainstorming session that we come to the finalized version of this competency matrix. So here you can see there are 32 points which are listed, parameters which are listed, and which will define the competency index of the candidate. We'll see a populated one in one of the later capsules, but this is what I strive to achieve in that particular brainstorming session. So my friends, this capsule is about the pre-interview stage. Once the document which you saw, the competency matrix, is ready, as a panelist I'm ready to walk into the interview room to meet and evaluate the candidate full of confidence, because there's so much of preparation which has gone into it. There's so much of confidence. We are so objective about what we are looking for in the candidate. The competency matrix is the bridge between the job description and the evaluation. That bridge is beautifully built in that brainstorming session. So my friends, this capsule is about the pre-interview stage. The subsequent ones will dwell on further stages of the interview, a road which I have traversed many times. I will share more snippets from the journey in the capsules to follow. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. Trust you enjoyed it.